announcements to do tonight as well, so we're going to try to get this thing started. First up, creative director of this trailer that you just saw here of this game, Batman Arkham Origins, Eric Holmes. You just heard him do the voice right there. It's the voice of Batman, Roger Craig Smith. Chances are, if you have played a AAA video game this year, you've heard this next guy's voice a couple of times. The new voice of the Joker, Troy Baker. I had to find that. And finally, a bit of a surprise guest here. We have a producer from NetherRealm, Aaron Geddes. Aaron, why is NetherRealm here? Well, we'll be able to hear him better if his mic's on. We're there. Oh, we're getting there. All right. So why am I here tonight? Because we are very excited to announce right here at New York Comic Con that we are bringing Batman Arkham Origins to the mobile platforms as well. Oh, let's go ahead and run the trailer. Let's see it. Okay, let's go.
Laptop feed. Laptop feed, big screen.
Well, Aaron, start us off and tell us a little bit about how this game came to be, and we saw some of the gameplay. It looks actually a little bit different from the mobile Injustice.
Yeah, it's absolutely different. So this is the same team that did bring you Batman Arkham City Lockdown as well as Injustice. This was developed at NetherRealm Studios in Chicago, and essentially, I mean, when given the chance to work in this universe, with this great game that's been developed by the Montreal studio, we jumped at the chance. I mean, who doesn't want to make a cool Batman game, right? So this is you're going to see very different gameplay though from some of our earlier games. I mean, this time around we've got some light RPG elements. Batman's got a ton of different abilities that you can level up over time, these sorts of things. And I mean, you guys saw all the different bat suits that are there as well. I take it there's some Batman Beyond fans here in the room. So the suits in our game are much more than just a visual aesthetic. These suits actually influence the gameplay. They have different boosts, different stats, these sorts of things. So as you're fighting crime in Gotham, you might need to switch to a different suit that fits that particular environment much better. So we're really excited to bring the game out. It's coming out very, very soon.
And what platforms are we going to see this on?
It's going to launch iOS first, but before anyone kills me, it is coming to Android as well. Android and iOS very soon.
What does this mobile game bring to the overall Arkham Origins experience?
So the Origins experience, I mean, if you play the console, you're going to get this really cool storyline and everything. Our game is set in that universe, but it's much more of an arcade experience. So if you're on the go, you're commuting or whatnot, and you want some quick action, you can, pull out your iPad, iPhone, whatever device you've got, and get a quick little bit of action versus some of the really cool characters that you're going to see in the console version.
I know one of the things that I love the most about the Injustice mobile game is that it links into the main console game. You can unlock things back and forth. Are we going to see that with this one as well?
Absolutely. The cross-platform unlocks are going to make a return here. And for the players that have both versions, the mobile and the console, there's some actually really cool rewards. Anybody like Red Sun series, Red Sun Batman? So if you've got both versions of the game and you link them up, you can actually unlock a Red Sun Batman skin. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg there. So there's a lot of different things you can unlock, all influencing gameplay in a very positive way.
Very cool. Well, before we get to our other announcement, because remember we do have two, let's talk a little bit about the Batman Arkham Origins game experience here. Eric, I want to start with you and just kind of talk about you inherited elements of the game. You inherited the game engine and assets from Rocksteady, who I think we all agree did an amazing job on the first stage. That change the core development process when you were starting out and you started out with all of those things already on your plate?
Well, I guess we had a leg up straight away because we weren't starting a game picturing what sort of encounters we might make and building fermenting rooms without any sort of mechanics. We were starting with, the Arkham City final product. So we already had great fighting, we had Batman gliding and grappling around, we had a mature tool set with Unreal Engine 3, so we could really hit the ground running and really start building scenarios that worked from the from the get-go, and we could really focus on what we wanted to add to that experience, what sort of new mechanics or enemies or encounters or locations.
I know you're a big Batman fan and even a Batman historian of sorts. How do you balance the Batman moments with gameplay necessity?
It starts with the hard ones, I don't know if I have an answer to that question, but I think we've tried very hard to build a game that feels like an Arkham game, that feels like something just paced like an Arkham game, which I think is one of the best parts of those games, that the amount of time you spend in the fight, the amount of time you spend navigating the world, the amount of time before you switch it up and you add a puzzle or you add a stealth moment. So I think we tried to build our new story, which is entirely new, involving a structure which is very much based on those previous games, because they really, they're two of the defining games of this generation in terms of action adventure. And that as a designer, I know when I played Arkham Asylum, I feel my own design skills being stretched and I'm really learning a lot from it. So we respect that game a lot. We've tried to build off the modern game.
There's been some interesting comparisons that you guys have drawn to, of all things, Mega Man, because of the beat a villain, get his gadget kind of model. Can you kind of talk about your side of things and where that came from and how that fits into the story?
That would be a good question after we run that video, maybe. I think there's a certain amount of time people like playing things, like I said, that pacing element that was in those other Arkham games. Mechanics, enemies, the sort of stuff. I get this experience when I'm playing fighting games. There's a friend of mine I went to school with, and I remember when we got Street Fighter 2, and we were both playing it. He hammered me in the corner of the map, and he's firing Hadokens after Hadokens after me. He wouldn't tell me how to do the damn move, and I was really frustrated because there's nothing I wanted more than to shoot those things back at him. But there was a point where he turned around because I learned how to do the Hurricane Kick, and you could use that to go over the fireballs and knock the guy down. And then he was very frustrated because he couldn't do his move, and I wouldn't tell him how to do the other one. So I felt like that was kind of a moment which told me about an atomic unit of gameplay, how long you spend doing something with your back against the wall before you can turn it around and you can expect that you turn around and you get that feeling against the enemies in the game. And that's true for action games too. Like Usually when a new enemy type gets introduced, or a new mechanic, he's introduced in a kind of a simple way, and then you kind of struggle with it, but then usually you get some sort of upgrade, some sort of ability, or you'll break through in terms of the skill in your own side as a player, and then you'll start to own that guy. And just around the time that starts to become commonplace, we change it because we add something else, or we take them away, or we give them a new ability. So the idea is to keep it constantly fresh, constantly engaging, and give you these small challenge, then some sense of mastery, and then change it so you don't get bored.
Guys, I'd like you all to kind of talk a little bit about next year's Batman 75th anniversary. And what kind of process do you go through when you're developing a character as an actor or as a writer when that character's already been around for 3/4 of a century? Do it, Troy!
We've been talking about this a lot today because, you know, obviously are we dealing with 75 years of a character's existence, but we're also dealing with the iterations that different actors have shown you what those characters look or sound like. And somebody asked me today, they said, what are you going to do different? What are you going to bring to this that no one has ever brought before? And I said, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because if I for 1 second think that I can do something better than Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Mark Hamill, or Heath Ledger, it's like, you gotta be kidding me. What each of those people have done for a generation, like for my dad, Cesar Romero was the Joker. For me growing up until I heard Mark Hamill in 1990 was Jack Nicholson as the Joker. So we've all seen these different sides of these characters, and all we want to do, everybody that's up here, you're right, we're tapping into a 3/4 of a century old franchise. It's one of the oldest institutions that we have in media. And all we want to do is pay homage to that, and we want to respect the reverence that this franchise has brought to people now 3 generations. And that's incredible. Very few things can say that. So that's what we're up here to do.
I shouldn't let Troy go first. I wanted to do gooder and stuff and make it awesomer. And no, we've been answering these questions all weekend, and honestly, look, Kevin Conroy is king. The notion that we've gotten the question, like, what new are you going to bring to this? And I agree wholeheartedly with Troy. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing that we can do. The notion of filling shoes has been brought up a lot. There's no shoes to fill. You cannot fill those shoes. Thankfully, with this, what we have is a prequel, so we can kind of play around with the timeline a little bit and explore Batman and Joker and all these other characters from a different perspective than we've seen before. But at every single minute of us recording, of I'm sure all the people at Warner Brothers Montreal programming and animating and all of this musical score, every single person here is a fan of the characters. They're a fan of the game. They're a fan of the franchise. This wouldn't be around 75 years if we didn't have people doing that. And so for us, it was always like, what can we do right by this character? For me, it's the same exact thing. A lot of people ask, what did you do to prepare? Answer is, I honestly didn't do too much, because I knew going in, this guy was going to convey to the director, Amanda Wyatt, what he wanted to get done. And they know so much more about the universe that they wanted to create and achieve with this than I could ever hope to come up with. I can remember, I heard about the 75th anniversary, and I misinterpreted that as, so Batman needs to be 75 years old. And my choice as an actor was completely wrong from the get-go. Which is not what you guys want to see in The Dark Knight. I'm just assuming. And thankfully Eric was there to say, no, it's just 75 years old.
Eric, what about you? What's the, coming into this project, knowing that you're coming in, you're doing Batman's origin, something that has been amazingly told in comics with Year One, with the current 0 year, in movies with Batman Begins, in animated film, coming in to tell his origin and do something like that again? What
Yes, he's made it sound really hard because he's got all these references. But it's kind of simple. It's a lineage, right? This is an Arkham game. You've already played Arkham Asylum. I'm pretty sure if you played Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, if you're here, right? So you guys know those characters. You've seen where those games started out. You saw where those games ended, but you didn't see how they got there, and you didn't see where they started out. And so we want an authentic Arkham experience, not just a Batman game. This is an Arkham game, and it's part of that story. In fact, it's a formative part of that story, a formative part of that world. You all know, it's not a spoiler, but James Gordon and Batman are going to be friends, right? You know. You ruined the whole game!
Get out.
That same guy.
I was just going to say San Diego.
But at the start of our game, they're not. Gordon is pursuing Batman. Batman is a vigilante, he's an outlaw, and Gordon sees him as a wanted man. So we're going to show you in our story something about how that changes. And you're going to play that. You're going to be the pivotal person turning the corner in that relationship. You're going to be changing things. And I like it like puzzle pieces. We're fitting puzzle pieces together to form a picture that we know, but we don't know how those puzzle pieces go together. And I think that with those, there can be moments of revelation. There can be moments of, oh, right, I see how that works. I see, that's interesting. I didn't expect that, rather than, okay, like, yeah, I thought it was like that. I thought it was like that. Instead, I think we should have a few surprises along the way. So I think that the thing which I'm most excited about, and absolutely terrified about too, I'm not kidding, is when this game goes out, you guys are all going to play it, and you're going to judge it. And I hope that you enjoy those moments. I think that we've taken a few risks along the way, and I hope that's worthwhile. I think we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't try and take a few risks, because the Arkham games have been, the great games by Rocksteady. They are very innovative. They're very exciting. The quality, everything in there is very, very high. And so we've been very selective of what we've added, be it moments, features, locations, to try and match the quality of these games. And so the story, I think, is the thing all that stuff hangs off of. There's no point in adding new enemies if you're not adding something to the story. New features, new gadgets, they have to come from the story. And so, I guess I'm kind of meandering now, but what was the question again?
What did you have for dinner? That was very large.
Caffeine.
Is that water refreshing? That makes sense. Obviously, another part of the big development process here was casting these two. What can you tell us about? Now that Roger looks scared. What can you tell us about the casting process and how you settled on?
We took a really long time casting both of these characters. We knew it would be hugely problematic. We knew we wanted to have a younger side for these characters because it's a very formative time for everyone in Origins. These guys are all physically younger. They're rebound back, but it's also they're spiritually younger. This is as new to these characters. Events are as new to these characters in the game as they are to these actors up here on this panel. And I think that's something that translated very well when we got them in. But in terms of finding them, we went very wide. We had a lot of people, and we put them through the ringer. We went through huge amounts of reference material. We went through stuff from various ebooks. We went through stuff from animated work. We included stuff on the sides from the other games too to see if we could capture all those different aspects of those characters. For example, with Batman isn't just one voice. Batman is Bruce Wayne. Batman is Batman, but Batman also talks to Alfred, which is one voice. He talks to himself, which is another voice. And then there's also talking to his enemies, but there's also this other part where he has to inspire fear in other enemies and really bring that out. And we wanted to make sure that whoever we got didn't just have one or two of those, that they could have all of these, and that they could bring something not just interesting and really beautiful to it, but also have that authentic Arkham sound, that they could sound like, when you hear it, that guy will eventually become Kevin Conroy's Batman, or in the case of the Joker, become Mark Hamill, have a lineage to have a connection. Do you guys want to talk about your perspective when you got the material? It took a while, right? Longer than most casting, I think, for your side.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the thing for me, the voice print was so paramount. It was of paramount importance on this. And that was what we worked on very, very diligently in the, I'd say the first 5-6 sessions, was nothing but us experimenting with all the different versions of Batman that we've all come to know and love, so that we can kind of capture a Batman at a different time, a less refined Batman, a maybe less defined Batman, but one that could conceivably make sense that you would see this guy transitioning into Kevin Conroy's Batman, or at least all the other versions of Batman that we've come to know. That's why I say that the whole character element of everything was of the utmost importance, because that's what we knew we had to honor. It wasn't necessarily prior performances, it was just, we gotta make sure we nail Batman in a believable way. And so we worked a lot with everything, trying out the growl, too much growl, not enough growl, a little more growl, you know, and because we didn't want it to seem like, oh, he's just doing an impression of X, Y, or Z, because we've had so many talented people who have played this character in the past. So, I mean, again, testimony to the passion that the guys at WB Montreal had was just how much time do we spend on these characters, which is different from a lot of games that I've worked on in the past, but it really kind of goes to show. So I think one of the reasons why I'm so nervous about this is just because we've fallen in love with this so much that we want you guys to feel that and what we did, and hopefully it does come across. Oh wow, thanks. Spoiler alert, the way Batman talks to all the bad guys, I just added a southern accent, which I'm hoping you guys, it's a choice. Again, I hope you guys agree with that. Troy.
I like watching Shira Bandit.
I used to race home every day at 4:30 and make sure that I was in front of my TV because I didn't want to miss Batman the Animated Series. And I would tape VCR. I can tell by you exactly. Blank faces. There are many people here who will never know what messing with the tracking means. But I would tape each episode because we didn't have Netflix, we didn't have iTunes, we didn't have DVDs, we didn't have anything. You had to watch it being aired. And a lot of times I'd already seen that episode, it wouldn't matter, but I wanted to hear that theme music. You know what I'm talking about? And a lot of times, if it was like an episode I'd seen before or whatever, I would just always make sure that, one of the reasons why I wanted to tape the episode is I wanted to freeze frame at the very end of it, because they flash those credits for like half of a second.
Yeah.
And when you tape something on a VCR, you get those wavy lines. So you look like you have epilepsy as you're trying to read. And I remember going, Batman is Kevin Conroy. Okay, who's that? Joker is Mark Hamill. Not Luke Skywalker. And that 12-year-old kid that sat in front of that TV every day at 4:30 or at 4:59 weeping that that episode had ended and caught up in his own reverie of what he wanted to do in his future life could never imagine sitting here. I fell in love with this franchise at a very, very early age. And it was so funny, we were even talking about different story arcs, and you go back and forth, and I really caught up on a lot of my trades that I don't have anymore through the iPad and digital comics. And I was reading Death in the Family, rereading, I guess I should say. And you know, you can swipe over to the left and it's like, continue reading in this arc. I'm like, yes. And 25 years after I had held this trade in my hand, I'm looking at the Batman Year 3. And that was a big moment, you know, and especially it was like as we're flying out here. So all of this comes you know, rooting back, and it's really been crazy. And thank you. That's how much I'm killing right now. All that to be said is, you know, it's not just a 37-year-old man that walked into that booth to audition for this, but it was a 12-year-old kid too. And all of the years in between, all of the trades and all of the shows and all the movies and all the everything, you know, that comes along with this. So, but I had no idea originally when we were walking in to audition. I had no idea what we were auditioning for. Everything was a code name.
I was sure it was Pikachu.
Yeah. So yeah, it was crazy to. Yeah, that audition process, just the whole process is just disgust. I'm just gonna talk about myself. I also gotta give a shout out to my boy over here who's helping out our hearing impaired friends, bro. Thank you very much. You know this ain't scripted, so my man over here is doing this on the fly. I am thoroughly impressed. And I think keep going. So. And I think Troy Baker is the most insanely talented, wickedly handsome man.
Roger made a really stupid joke just now.
Sorry, I derailed. I just wanted to say thank you for doing what you do, man. I really appreciate it.
So, can I throw something in here? So, some people say that they're fans and that they've watched things. Yeah, I know all about Batman. I did read a comic book. And Batman was in it. This guy, we sent him so much material to go through to prove, along with all these other really great actors that we auditioned. But we sent him so much material. We sent him stuff, like I said, from the other Arkham games to prove that we could get something authentic to that. But we also sent him some of our favorite stuff to see just where he could take it. We sent him stuff from Return of the Joker, the big monologue at the end there, which he killed. We sent him, I think my favorite thing though was hearing for the first time the Joker killing joke monologue from
Does anyone want to hear that?
Shut up. I don't, hang on. Like you have it memorized. Hang on. What? Wow. Why are we on bronies.com?
Busted.
Yeah, I remember that, walking in an audition, and I think that actually it wasn't even Joker, it was the character, it was just Jack. And I'm looking through and I'm seeing all of these like paragraphs and stuff and going, why is that in here? And it rapidly, like my, oh God. And you just want to leave. But my eyes fell upon this certain paragraph, and it's one of my favorite monologues. It's one of the best cross sections of who the Joker is. It's the monologue that he gives when Gordon is going through the kind of tunnel of love thing, showing the pictures. Okay. Memories can be vile. Repulsive little brutes like children, I suppose. But can we live without them? Memories are what our reason is based upon. If we can face them, we deny reason itself. Although, why not? We aren't contractually tied down to rationality. There is no sanity clause. So when you find yourself locked onto an unpleasant train of thought, heading for the places in your past where the screaming is unbearable, remember, there's always madness. You can just step outside and close the door, and all those dreadful things that happened, you can lock them away Madness is the emergency exit.
You should like put close skybook in the air. You won't see it. Live.
Roger, a follow-up.
Oh, dear children, what have we done? You'll get it on October 25th. Now sit down! Thank you very much for indulging me. I appreciate it.
I do want to say this, because I'm not going to really, like, this is my biggest talent is just hand fart sounds, which is... No, but I'm dead serious. I've been saying this in other interviews where people have been saying, like, you know, look, Batman, in my opinion, lives here, and we love this character, and if the character goes too far beyond what we know to be Batman, it does a disservice to the character, and we don't like that. Joker is so impossibly hard to wrangle as a character, and it takes an actor of this guy's caliber to do what he just did, but to do it with that delicious, evil, and it's not cartoony. I mean, the minute you launched into that, you heard people go, and one of my favorite moments of this game was arriving early, because I'm professional, and I arrived early to a session, and you were still working with another actor at the time, and I sat at the top of the stairs, and you didn't even know I was there, and I goosebumps right now, because I sat in and heard. I hadn't heard what he was doing with the character up until this point, and I sat there and was literally looking around the room at the other people who had already been privy to this, and so they were just like, yeah, that's good, try it again, we're gonna do it over there. And I'm sitting around going, hearing this? Like, this is, I mean, I literally got goosebumps trying it, and just right now, that was insane what you just did. Greg Miller, I'm gonna say something.
You say a negative word and I will punch you down and murder you in your sleep. Greg's going, I'm gonna just, he's dead.
I just want to be the first one to say it here in front of everybody. I think this guy's got a future in this business. I think he's gonna go places.
I will say this, the beauty, thank you again, the beauty about this is that the entire mythos of Batman is not supported by just one character, but it's a cast of characters. And obviously one of the things that's the most pinnacle to our story is the relationship. We've seen, again, 75 years worth of this dysfunctional relationship between Joker and Batman. And I love how we do this in this story. And not only that, but also the other characters that you're going to see in here as well. It's always an interesting thing to see a fresh perspective on these characters. But as these characters are the basis of our story, as the relationships between them, the team is 150 people that are up in Montreal that are taking what I just did and giving it to you as the Joker. And it cannot be said enough how hard and how grateful I am that those people took. We did facial capture, like just camera for reference and stuff, and how those people took my goofy face and turned it into that delicious face. So you have to applaud their efforts as well as mine.
There's over 100 guys and girls up in Montreal still working on this game, working on DLC right now. We deserve to be up on the stage to hear the applause that you're giving, so thank you.
WB Montreal!
Hi, Lucas.
It's interesting, Troy, that you mentioned other characters.
Uh-oh.
You know, one of the things that really defines Batman is his villains. And you guys have a very unique chance here where you get to use both iconic Batman villains and these villains that you're hoping to make iconic. What was what went into your character choices here, bringing in somebody like a new female Copperhead, for example?
Well, I guess it's, gameplay comes first in so many decisions for games, and I think that applies here too. So we wanted to make sure we had a bunch of fresh blood for the game, and also familiar faces, but even the familiar faces are not totally familiar because we're rewinding them back several years. Origins takes place in year 2 of Batman's career, long before he's fully accepted by the city, long before he's understood as a kind of concept. So in our story, he's kind of an urban myth at the start. There's never been a photograph, a successful photograph. There's been little glimpses of focused shots of him, but people generally, they don't really know if he exists. And the people that do know he exists because they had a very bad day when they met him. So I guess with all of our characters, even the ones you've seen Bane in the other Arkham games, but you've also seen him in that trailer there. He doesn't look the same, and there's a reason for that. If you play the game, you'll find out a bit more about that reason. Right. But every one of these changes isn't just because it's Tuesday and we're going to change Bane, right? They're there because of the story, and the story of the Arkham franchise, the story of Batman through that one particular lens. So I guess we're going to show you a video of someone else we brought to the Arkham franchise in just a minute.
You guys ready for the next assassin?
It's not someone, I'm going to be honest, it's not someone all you guys are sitting there waiting for going, I know who it is.
Deathstroke!
We already know it's Deathstroke. Deathstroke was the first one. Arkham Origins.
Okay, so we are bringing Walter White to the Arkham franchise.
That may have been a lie.
He is the last assassin. Yeah. So this is someone you never bring. If you were eagle-eyed, you'd actually spot a couple of shots of that person right there in the iOS trailer that was there earlier. You'd have to be pretty eagle-eyed because they were pretty quick. So we wanted to share and establish this character really for the Arkham franchise. This is someone who's new. It's someone that is gameplay first. So you mentioned Mega Man earlier. If you spot this character and you see what he's got, you may be able to tie some other reveals back earlier in the campaign to who this guy is and where he comes from. So I'm about to put the video on, and when I do, I'm going to ask one thing. Can we cut the feed over to the laptop there?
Again, Bronies.com. What is it with you guys?
So I'm going to ask for one thing. You guys seem really excited. You seem like a really pumped crowd. So there's a point in here where someone asks, "Are you ready?" And when he asks that, I want you to respond and tell him how ready you are, okay? You'll know when you see it. Oh God, I really hope you like this. This is not what you expect. I guarantee it's not what you expect. Okay, let's go.
Assassins, sir, as in more than one. Each of them gets one of these envelopes. I need them to live.
They're all hired killers, the best in the business. Black Mask isn't messing around. Street tough named Lester Baczynski calls himself Electrocutioner. Shocking.
Now that is a naughty geezer, proper naughty, and he deserves a right proper
those of you who are fans of voice actors, I think a couple of us are, might recognize that that is the very talented Steve Bloom playing. Can we go there?
Oh, yeah, come on over.
So the Electrocutioner is a character who has kind of that Mega Man element. If you've seen some of our more recent materials, you'll know that Batman is an upgrade in the game. It's unique to Arkham Origins.
I'm gonna go get the batteries
called the Shock Gloves. And the Shock Gloves are a fighting upgrade that let him change the rules in a fight. So normally, when you're fighting in Arkham, it's very much about the different archetypes you're fighting. Guys with shields, you can't punch those guys. You have to jump up on top and crush those guys to the floor. Guys with shock batons, you've got to jump over them and get them from behind. And so on. There's various different things. There are rules to fighting. But when you've got the Shock Gloves charged up, you can change those rules, and all those rules change in your favor. So it's a really great tool for turning the tide. If you're feeling that your back's against the wall, you activate the Shock Gloves, and you can really cut loose on a group without worrying too much about who you're hitting. But if you're an expert player, you can be surgical with these things because you can take out all the armor guys, you can destroy the weapons, you can really cut loose on a group and take out the more dangerous opponents with much more damaging attacks and not worry about who you're hitting and how you're hitting them. So we think they're pretty cool.
Alright guys, we have some time left, so if you want to line up at these nice microphones right here and ask some questions.
Oh man, I'm not even gonna get it. Okay. Stay with the camera. Focus it again, okay? I'm gonna try.
Alright, let's get started. Right over here.
Come here.
So I have a multiplayer question for Arkham Origins. And my question is, I know you have two factions already, Joker and Bane's faction. Do you plan on adding any other factions?
Oh, so what you're referring to there is multiplayer, right?
Yes.
We haven't, and it's such a lame thing. There's PR things that restrict what we can say and what we can't say. And I'll actually be honest, I don't know. That's my answer. Because at Warner Bros. Games Montreal, where I work, we're working on the campaign, story, all that stuff. Whereas the studio called Splash Damage in the UK, they've done all the multiplayer. So I actually don't think to be honest. Even if I did, I'm pretty sure. So I'm sorry.
Over here.
How's it going? Quick side note, Arkham Origins is the first collector's edition game I'm ever gonna own.
Nice.
So, I can't wait to own it. My question is for all three of you. What difficulties did you guys have in your respective roles in this game? For example, Mr. Holmes, in creating this new prequel in this new world, but keeping also in touch with the timeline of all the Arkham games, and you, Mr. Baker, and Mr. Smith, in terms of stamping your legacies with Batman and the Joker.
Why don't we start with that?
I would say that the challenge that we have is just the inherent challenge that's given when you have a character that's been so received and so iterated upon. You don't want to do anything that is going to in any way disservice that role. But the beauty of it is that the character is so strong that if I think that I'm so talented that I can screw it up, that's really my ego getting involved. You know what I mean? We have a great team. It starts with a great story, it comes out with great direction, and we have to simply just step into that role and be honest. And if we come from an honest place, the character will show up.
The challenge for me was just trying to literally get all that pressure and the sense that this day would come out of my head. I can't get used to that. When people go like, Roger, Batman. What? No. What? No. You got the wrong guy. It was just a sense of trying to focus on what I call pleasing the people on the other side of the glass. Amanda, the voice director, Eric, making sure that everybody was going, yeah, that's what we want to capture. That's what I had to focus on so that I could sit there and just bark in front of the microphone and not think about the history and the gravity of the entire situation. So.
The short answer from you would be choosing what not to do, because there are so many characters, there are so many gadgets, there are so many things you can do with Batman as a vehicle that we wanted to choose small number of things to do as well as Arkham City. And that meant you couldn't do every idea that we had. So that's, killing your babies right there, killing your darlings. Man, these things would all be really cool. I know, but if we kill one of them, the other one gets all the food and gets stronger. And so we had to, make some hard calls. And yes, so babies were slain.
Hey man, that was a great question. You got all these guys talking, so come up here. I'm going to give you this Batman Arkham Origins window decal and a nice little Batarang keychain.
Winner! Well done.
Over here.
Hey guys, I have one question because this thing has been very intriguing. So I want to know, this is for Eric and also for Roger and Troy, because this is about your characters as well. Now, you said in the statement that this is about Batman forging key relationships, learning who these villains are now. I want to know how you're going to get to echo the tragedy of Bruce Wayne's life and why he does what he does to be Batman, and what makes him the Batman, and what makes him the person for you to take on. And what I want to know for Roger and Troy, what did you bring to these guys that you felt that was necessary for this game? I know you weren't trying to one-up anybody, but what did you feel was necessary for this part of the game?
Wow. Well spoken, man. Seriously, well spoken. I appreciate that. That's a very thoughtful question.
Roger. Thanks. I knew you were going to do that. Just being honest, again, everything that we were approaching was just character, and you just want so badly to make everybody love what you're doing with the character. So I have a hard time answering what am I bringing to it. I honestly don't know.
Can I join in?
Please do.
I don't think it's a new thing. I don't think there's something which we just discovered.
The right side? Okay.
The word is authenticity, I think, because Batman is, he is an idea in our heads, right? And we respond to him. So trying to feel like we are conjuring that up in a younger, rawer, less refined form was key to that. And I think that I hope this comes over, but I think that you really felt the anger with your stuff.
What?
In Bruce Wayne.
Oh, sorry.
And I think that, he's a character that's very controlling, he's very strong-willed, and I felt that in the work for sure. And also through the events of our story, that his technique up to now has worked, but in what's happening tonight, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that is very, very difficult for Bruce / Batman to hear. I think that is the early version of this character. That's just growing, right? That's maturing, and I felt that.
You wrote it in, there were a lot of moments for me. Sadly, Troy and I didn't get a chance to work together too much. I got a really great opportunity to work with Martin Jarvis, the voice of Alfred, on this many, many times, and that was just such an honor. And there's a lot of neat little moments that take place with Bruce, Batman, and Alfred in this. And I think there's a really neat, it just sort of sums up exactly what this game's kind of all about with that. And that's all you guys. I mean, that's the characters.
Come on up here and grab one of these from me, buddy. We're going to try to do a little bit of a lightning round. We only have a couple of minutes left here. So, Robin, over here, what do you got?
I know he's been revealed in the multiplayer and spoke about, forging key relationships. My concern is, or my question is obvious, is there going to be a Robin moment in this game, in the campaign?
Unfortunately, I realize you're wearing the costume right now. No. Robin's in multiplayer, and if you love Robin, there's Robins in there with lots of skins. That's cool. So you can choose your favorite one out there. But in terms of this campaign, those of you who know canon, the thing he referenced earlier was year 3. Year 3 is when you see Dick Grayson, and this is a year 2 year game.
Roger, I got it.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Little sad.
That's an awesome costume, man. Come up here for a little consolation prize. Thank you. Batman. Good shirt.
Thank you. This is a question for the whole panel because I'd say there's a lot of people here dressed as Batman characters. So this is a character that's meant a lot to a lot of people. It meant a lot to me growing up. It's meant a lot to all these people. But I really want to know what Batman himself, or what character from the Batman universe really affected you in your lives and define who you are or who you wanted to be.
But you said this is lightning, right?
What character has an effect on you from the Batman?
It's gonna sound like such a punk answer, but it's the truth. Each different character for different reasons. Batman, Dick Grayson, for his own reasons. Jason Todd, for his own. I mean, it has to go without saying that even, of course, Harley Quinn, you know, for a character to originate out of the animated series, you know, and then be put into the comics and into the lore, I think was groundbreaking. But it definitely, hands down for me, it was the Joker. It was just, to me, it's the most intriguing, complex character, villain or not, didn't matter, that I'd ever seen. So there's multiple characters in this universe that I have found, just from a literary standpoint and a narrative standpoint, that are just fascinating to me, that really influenced me as a kid. I'll kill all of you.
Oh, I know that.
It's like saying, asking a nun to choose her favorite kid in the orphanage, right?
Funny you should mention that. 18 people who got that joke.
Why is no one asking this stuff of Aaron on the end there? He seems really quiet.
Aaron, what's your favorite character? He's drunk.
Yeah. This is not water. Yeah, I mean, how do you pick a character from this universe, right? Like, there's just all too many cool ones out there. I'm not gonna pick the Joker, she just did.
Sure, I picked him. You can.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Harley though. I mean, Harley too. No, not quite.
Okay. Okay. I'll give you Harley.
All right, fine. Moving on.
But you can keep her.
Guys, I'm so sorry. We only have time for one more question.
And that question can't be to ask for infinite questions.
I'm really sorry. This is my next question. My name's Christopher, and I have a question for Christopher.
Okay.
Just the other week, there was a video, just to segue for a quick second, where, from your role in The Last of Us, where you broke into song. And I have no idea that you have such an amazing singing voice.
Oh, thank you.
So I have a request to just end everything. If you could sing a line as the Joker, you don't have to sing it in the voice of the Joker, just sing it.
No, he has to sing it in the voice of the Joker. Sorry. Don't go.
Some say I am good, some say I'm evil, even more so than the Sith. But I suppose you'll all find out on October 25th.